Sabah everybody and welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to talk about the Honor 9X. Now this is definitely a big upgrade from what we had last year with the Honor 8X, namely that the display is actually not only bigger but also has no notches, on top of the fact that we gained some cameras and a new camera mechanism. This is TK. Let's check out the brand new Honor 9X. Like and subscribe and make sure you hit that bell icon so they are always notified whenever we have new videos on the channel. So here we have the brand new Honor 9X. The box for the most part just includes the phone. There's actually a case that's provided. It's a nice little plastic case. And of course we have here is a charger and the cable. There's no headphone dongle because this device actually has a headphone jack. But the first thing that will stand to us, of course, is the fact that this is a full display, no notches. The camera mechanism that we have here is the 60 megapixel sensor that's basically housed in here with a pop-up mechanism, which means the display will not have any notches. Let's go ahead and turn on a better picture. You can see basically it just fills up the entire display. This is a 6.59 IPS LCD panel, and it is basically a 1080p panel. But the main thing here is, of course, we have that fingerprint sensor in the back, and it works, although I feel like there's a slight delay, but it still actually is pretty quick, and I like the fact that it is functioning, and it is present right there in a very nice position where we put our fingers. Now, while we're looking at the back here, you'll notice obviously is that there's that design here, that nice little shimmer. Let's go ahead and do that a little bit. And that's basically the X design that's built in, and we've seen this before. You could see it right there. It just looks absolutely fantastic as far as the actual design, and it just, when it catches the light in the right spot, you're able to draw that X. It took me a while to be able to get it, just to be able to show that to you guys in the video. The triple camera setups that we have here is basically a 48 megapixel sensor, basically set at f1.8. We have a 8 megapixel wide angle lens set at 2.4, and then we have a 2 megapixel sensor that's more of a depth information at f2.2, 2.4. Which meaning for the most part we have a wide angle and a standard focal length, but whenever we do take bokeh images, the tertiary sensor will help us basically have more information for the main sensor. So better bokeh, of course, with this on the back sensors. And as I mentioned to you guys, on the front we have that 16 megapixel sensor, the SIM tray with expandable storage, which is definitely very, very nice, one of the microphones at the top, volume rocker, and a power button on the right side. On the left side we pretty much have a clean slate. And of course when we get to the bottom, we notice that we still have that 3.5mm headphone jack, the other microphone, a USB-C for data and charge, as well as the bottom firing speaker. The device itself, out of the box, comes with Android 9.0, and you'll notice right there, this is basically just one of the basic better options that we have here. And of course, the chipset that we have here is the Kirin 710F. Now this is a 12 nanometer chipset, and as far as storage and configuration, there's going to be a couple of options depending on the market that you're in. There's going to be a 4 gigabyte RAM and 6 gigabyte model, depending again where you are, as well as a 64 gigabyte and 128 gigabytes of internal storage, and as I mentioned, expandable with the SD card. So still really nice at the end of 2019 to actually have a device that has expandable storage, as well as the fact that it still has a 3.5mm headphone jack and it won't break the bank. As far as aesthetics from what we had last year, you'll notice the dual tone glass that we had last year, the nice little reflection that we had with the Honor 8X. The fingerprint sensors stayed over. Now we have that additional sensor on the back. Volume rocker stayed pretty much where they were supposed to be. Of course, here we do not have a pop-up mechanism. We actually had basically just a straight clean area because here we had a notch on the 8X. On the left side of the device, not much other than that we used to have the SIM tray here, which is now housed at the, actually at the top, take that back, with expandable storage. Of course, both devices supported the 3.5mm headphone jack with a bottom firing speaker. The display is bigger. You can definitely see that the actual physical display here is bigger, and of course, no notches. Now, I'm pretty sure the first thing you guys are wondering is, does this device come with Google Play services? And that is yes. Out of the box, this device does include Google Play services, and it is actually fully functioning. There's no side loading. There's nothing that you need to do to be able to use this. So the main thing you want to be aware of, obviously, is that all you need to do is turn it on, log into your Google Play account, and you're pretty much set to go. The camera application definitely is updated. So now we have the AI mode, which is something that we're used to. We have a portrait mode that uses the brand new additional sensor, night mode as a dedicated mode, as well as, of course, aperture mode. Now, aperture mode enables us to basically play around with the actual aperture. So this is if you're trying to take basically a bokeh picture of somebody that is not necessarily a person, meaning portrait mode would not work well for them. Aperture mode should be basically really, really nice. Of course, we have video mode, and in video mode, we have a couple of things we want to be aware of. As far as the back resolution, the maximum we're able to do is 1080p at 60 frames per second at a 16:9 aspect ratio. And of course, if we switch over to the front, yeah, right there, that front-facing sensor comes up. And of course, in video, I think we are capped at 1080p and a 19:2. Yeah, so it's 19.2 by 9 aspect ratio. at 30 frames per second, which for the most part, if you notice, actually covers the entire display. So you can actually see me right there at the bottom. And then of course we have the additional options. We have Pro Mode, slow motion, light painting, of course, time lapse, stickers, moving picture. Let's go into Pro Mode and let me double check. Yeah, so for the Pro Mode, for the most part, you're able to basically control some of the different options here, and of course go in there and set the resolution of the images. Camera itself actually looks pretty good. I'll show you guys a few pictures right now. This is definitely a capable camera. The 48 megapixel sensor definitely does a really good job. And of course, with the assist of that secondary 2 megapixel sensor, it does actually work quite well. Now, because this is an IPS panel, unfortunately means we do not have dark mode built into this device. Generally, OLED panels from Honor and Huawei will include a dark mode. But as far as the toggles and what we have, obviously we have hotspot, Huawei Share, airplane mode, mobile data. I am connected to Wi-Fi right now. And as far as settings and options of what we get here, we still have access to the app assistant, and this is basically where it's utilizing the GPU Turbo 3.0. Now, even though we're running the Kirin 710F, we're still able to get basically some of the benefits and improvements to be able to play some of these really good games. Now, GPU Turbo built in, game acceleration, uninterrupted gaming, and of course, I right now have Mobile Legends as well as PUBG. Let's go ahead and turn that on. Now, as far as the graphic options here, we are able to basically go up to high with HD. HDR, unfortunately, is not supported on my device, and I have it set to be under colorful. And the really main benefit here, of course, is the ability of basically being able to enjoy the game and get some really nice frame rates and basically no stuttering at all. I played it last night and I had a chance to finish the game, and it was an opportunity to just basically see how well it plays for an extended amount of time. So definitely good battery life. We have that 4,000 milliamp battery that's built in. Of course, set up with a 1080p panel, which means we're not going to basically drain the battery very fast. Let's go ahead and jump in real quick into a quick match. As you noticed, there was no issues with the gameplay. There's no drop frame rates, no freezing. So the 710F should be able to handle your PUBG gaming really, really nicely. Now, as far as the actual camera, let's go ahead and do a front-facing, back-facing video real quick, just to show you the quality of the video that comes off this phone. Again, we have a 48 megapixel sensor, but due to the processor limitation, we're only able to go to 1080p, 60 frames per second with a 16:9 aspect ratio, which surprisingly is actually the frame rate of the video that I'm producing. We don't have 4K, and I'm not sure if we are going to get 4K in the future. But again, this should be a good example of how the microphones and the video basically operate in normal conditions when you're holding it by hand and taking video of somebody else. Let's go ahead and switch over to the front-facing sensors. So here we are, we're using the front-facing sensor. This is the 16 megapixel sensor that basically is supported with that pop-up mechanism that basically comes up whenever you need it and goes away when you don't. And of course, this should be able to provide us some decent video as well as audio using the microphones, as well as the handheld experiment that we're trying to do here. So good sample of basically how it should be if you're using it handheld to vlog. So let's go ahead and do a quick video sample. So this is one of my videos that I posted yesterday. So I'll go ahead and open it up. You can zoom in all the way. Let's listen to the audio.
7T 3D glass protector. Specifically from OnePlus for the OnePlus 7T. We finally have it. And you can see.
So overall, the actual video experience is pretty nice. It fills up the display. Now, unfortunately, we still have a bottom firing speaker, no stereo speakers, which means for the most part, if you want to get really good audio, you need to utilize that beautiful 3.5mm headphone jack that we have at the bottom. Other than that, I think the Honor 9X is providing us a nice little option at a budget price to provide us basically some great specs. As you saw with the pictures, the images actually are not bad in good lighting, as well as night shots. It does actually work, but I'll have to do a little bit more testing to be able to see how well it performs over time in my full review. Let me know in the comments below what you guys think of the brand new Honor 9X, and of course, what would you like me to focus on in the full review. So the overall impressions of the brand new Honor 9X are definitely very positive. The first and foremost, obviously, is the ability of going from micro USB to USB-C. That's definitely very nice. We have a 4,000 milliamp battery, the Kirin 710F processor. Again, different depending on the market that you're in, you'll basically see either a 6 gig or 4 gigs of RAM model, as well as a 64 and 128 model. And of course, but both of those will definitely have expandable storage. A full display with no notches is something that is actually rare and unique. The fact that it still has a 3.5mm headphone jack, that's also something that is very rare and unique. Now, the camera mechanism is nice. We have a 16 megapixel front-facing sensor, but the main mechanism, the pop-up mechanism, is not very fast. So just be aware that it's slightly slower than the other ones that we've seen on the market, but it's definitely still very nice. Because if we don't use, or if you don't take a lot of selfies, this is actually not going to even bother you, because for the most part, you just get the full display, 6.59 IPS. And I wish it was OLED, mostly just because I want to be able to get the dark mode options. But overall, let me know in the comments below, what would you like me to focus on the Honor 9X in my full review? And of course, this device offers us a lot of really cool things that we just don't get at this price point with any other device. This is TK. I'll see you guys in the next video.